Welcome back to the special edition of Nebraska Nightly on Election Night. I'm Jill Amkins.
And I'm Macy Newmeister. We have another update now on the governor's race, Congressional District 1 and 2.
And results from ballot initiatives 432 and 433.
First, let's take a look at the governor's race with candidates Jim Pillen, Carol Blood, and Scott Zimmerman. The results as of right now show that Carol Blood is at 45%, Scott Zimmerman is only looking at 3%, and Jim Pillen is at 51%.
Now we'll look at results as of right now from the Congressional District 1 race with Mike Flood and Patty Pansing-Brooks. Looks like Patty Pansing-Brooks is leading with 50% of the votes, and Mike Flood is trailing very closely behind with almost 50% at 49.95% of votes.
And here's Congressional District 2 with Don Bacon and Tony Vargas. The results is right now show that Tony Vargas is at 50%, whereas Don Bacon is not very far behind at 49%.
We also have results right now from Initiative 432 on voter ID. The results show that there are 56% for the initiative and 43, almost 44% against the initiative.
As the night is wrapping up, we wanted to check in one more time with Dr. Smith and Tanner Dystrack. Dr. Smith is a UNL political science professor, and he is here to help explain more about the elections taking place. Dr. Smith studies the biology and psychology of individual level differences in political attitudes and behaviors. He has interest in why some people are passionate about politics and others are not. Dr. Smith has researched interests in public policy and state politics in his career. Here to help explain more about the races taking place this evening, we have Dr. Smith and Tanner Dystrack. Tanner?
Hello again, Professor Smith. How are we?
Good.
Yes. Now, we are only 90 minutes removed from polls opening. So again, still very early, but we did just hear some updates from on the numbers from the desk. So what can we make of these now? And anything new and interesting to note?
I don't think there's anything new and interesting. I didn't see anything too shocking in those results that we just saw. That early lead that Patty Pansing-Brooks had, Mike Flood is making that up rapidly. Still looks like things are competitive in the in District 2, which we kind of expected. I don't think it's a shocker that the voter ID ballot initiative is, looking like it's got a pretty healthy pro vote compared to the con vote. So at least right now, I'm not seeing any big surprises or shockers in the results.
Sure. Yeah. Now, I wanted to draw attention to some other elections that might be of interest outside of the congressional and the governor's race. One that I thought we should draw attention to is the uncontested Secretary of State role held by Bob Evnen right now. Now, these roles are very important because the Secretary of State plays a big hand in orchestrating state elections. So, how does this position being uncontested this year play into issues of election denialism and with the voter ID bill, like we were just talking about? How does having an uncontested election play into that?
Well, there's a couple of issues there. One in how it plays into sort of like election denial and that sort of thing. I think we're really fortunate in Nebraska that there's not a lot of that going on. And I think, as far as I can tell, that most Nebraskans have a fairly high degree of confidence in the election process in our state. And Bob Evnen, I think, has done a pretty good job in, making sure that confidence is justified. The other issue that you mentioned, the uncontested aspect of it, I mean, I think that's not such a good reflection on our state. The fact that you have these big, important statewide races that are effectively uncontested. There's just one major party candidate running. And in a democracy, it's always better if voters have a real choice.
I agree. Now, last time we spoke briefly about early mail-in ballots. Now, is there any concern that nationwide, of course, speaking now, that we could see a repeat of 2020 where it might take a couple days for final results to roll in from especially some swing states?
That is a really good question, and that is a possibility. Counting ballots in, especially some high population states is a pretty big logistical exercise. And if you're forced to count all those ballots after the polls close on election day, you're talking about going through, an enormous amount of votes. And especially in close races, it just takes a while to get those numbers, accurate numbers together.
Yeah, and I know we spoke briefly about how thankfully we don't have a lot of election denial worries here in Nebraska. But speaking nationwide, could those mail-in ballots, again, be raise concerns of election denial and voter fraud and things of that nature?
Yeah, well, it's all. I mean, 2020 has shown us that, yeah, absolutely, that can be a possibility. If there's a comforting fact there, it is the fact that, at least as far as I'm aware, that there's no credible evidence that has been presented by anyone or any organization that there's been any sort of like systematic election fraud or miscounting. Certainly nothing on the scale that could affect the outcome of even a local election, let alone a congressional election or a statewide election.
Okay. Well, on that note, we will have to leave you with that tonight. So thank you very much again for coming on to Nebraska Nightly to break these things down for us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Tanner and Dr. Smith. It's been a pleasure talking with you tonight.
Now we'll have to look at tossing it over to Jenna and Peyton at our social media desk. Jenna and Peyton have been keeping up with the latest this evening and helping us stay up to date about all the different things across social media. Jenna and Peyton.
Yes, on initiative 433. We've also been able to come at this from a little bit of a different angle, Jenna.
Yes, using our data tools for the night, we've actually compiled an emoji map, which part of it got cut off here.
I was going to say, sit down a little.
It slid down on us. But we're looking at like a bus on this emoji map for voters who potentially have to commute to work. We have lots of money down here, money right here and here, some confused faces, some excited faces. So really, this is all across the board here.
Yep, just some of the sentiment going on. I think some people ready to get in their bag potentially with a $15 minimum wage that would progressively get there by 2026. We also created an emoji map for initiative 432, that one for voter ID statewide in Nebraska, and a little bit different sentiment there. Well, if we can get it. These are back to the official numbers of initiative 433, the minimum wage. Those numbers live as of 9:23 p.m. We'll continue updating you throughout the night if maybe the tide continues to turn one way or the other on initiative 433. For 432 as well, tracking in the yes direction, we'll get back to official numbers for you guys in a minute, but we do have the emoji map.
Emoji map for 432 here. We have the sirens, so maybe people don't like that as much. Obviously, there's going to be the checks and the X's. People use those a lot in their tweets. We have the ups and downs and arrows. Lots of voter ID ballot boxes as well. Some people might not like this with the clown. Yeah.
So there you have it, a different way to look at both the initiatives that are on the ballot for Nebraskans this evening. Now back up to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Peyton and Jenna. And here's a look at Congressional District 1 Democratic candidate Patty Pansing Brooks and what's going on at her election party. Here's Mackenzie Johnson with more.
I'm here tonight at the Lincoln Station Great Hall as Patty Pansing Brooks has her election night party going on. Right now behind me you can see that there's a choir performing, and I did get the chance earlier to speak with Patty's sister, so here's a little bit of that interview. So I'm here right now with her sister, Jamie Rummer. How did that feel to see the results come in?
I knew she had it in her. I mean, she is so special and so fabulous and has more energy than God. She is 16 years younger than I am, and so I'm so glad she is doing it.
How does it feel to be able to be here and support your sister on such a big day like this?
Well, we wouldn't be anywhere else. I mean, it's just, this is where family's supposed to be, and there's a lot of family in this hall right now, so that's good.
What are your hopes for her in the future as her sister? What do you hope she gets accomplished?
I hope that she feels peace and pride at what she does. I just, I can't presume to say what she might do or might not do, but I just want her to be proud of herself and think that she's done a great job. And we're looking forward to her coming back to the family a little bit more, but more important that she keeps doing something that's good for our country too.
Wasn't she just great? The atmosphere behind me is incredible as everybody is celebrating that Patty is in the lead right now in her race, and we'll have more on the different results as they come in, but for now I'm going to throw it right back to the studio.
Thanks, Mackenzie. It's great to see family and friends supporting the candidates throughout the night. Well, we'll have a final look later at the results after this break. Stick with us.